All right, well, guys, I'm glad we're all here. I've mentioned this to Brae already, but we only had a few sign up for today's call, which is fine and no problem. You know, we've done this before where it's just been me and the host, and we publish the recorded video, and it's a great way for people to engage the content whenever they can, and we find that they do. And so we'll share the links, and Brae, I'm sure, will share with former leadership alumni and maybe even current students if they're interested, but. We have Brae Wood with us today. Again, my name is Katie Riggs Johnson, and I'm the Vice President for Advancement Marketing and Communications. And our guest today is Brae Wood. We also will have, I think, Dr. Jackson Lashier is going to be hopping on. He has an obligation to a class this morning, and so he's going to. Yeah, so he's going to try to jump in as he's able. But Brae is also prepared to share a bit of an update from discipleship, so we can learn about what they've got going on in that program. So just really quickly, I'm going to have Ashley Mayo, our Director of Alumni Engagement, wave. She's the one that coordinates these calls and so many of our events. And then I want to just give President Liz an opportunity to say hello. We actually have a campus update this morning where all faculty and staff will come and we get together and just kind of hear what's the latest on campus. And so Liz will be leading that here at 11. So she's probably we'll have some coming and going is what I'm saying. So Liz is here to make a greeting and say hello, and then she'll probably hop off. So, but Liz, go ahead.
Awesome. Well, good morning. I mean, I know that Jim and Kim are two people that I have spent much time with in my time as president, but really grateful to have you both here this morning. I'll stay on for a few minutes because I actually like to hear what's happening. I mean, I have some sense, but the occupational hazard I have is that I'm never close enough to the details. So I don't need to be. We got awesome people doing all the awesome things, but I sometimes just like to know. So welcome, Kim. Welcome, Jim. I will see Kim on Tuesday. And Jim, hopefully I'll see you soon when I get back up to Manhattan. But welcome to both of you. And thanks for having me. So
for sure. So Brae, I guess we'll just open up with, if you just introduce yourself and share your connection with the college, which is a long and sort of meandering but awesome one, I think. And so why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll get rolling.
Yeah, well, my dad tells people that he dropped me off for college at Southwestern, and then I never left Winfield ever until now, which is awesome. No, I'm a proud alum of the college. I loved my time here. I kind of had that experience, which is fun because I see students have it, where I was looking around at a bunch of different colleges, different sizes, and I literally came for a summer visit. I was a late person to decide where I wanted to go. And I stepped on campus, and there weren't even other students here really at that time. And I just fell in love. I had that feeling of being a builder. And then I came here. I loved it. I ran cross country and played basketball and ran track. I was a psychology major. And then I met my husband here, and he coached here for years and was an alum. All our girls consider themselves builder babies. We have 4 little girls. And then I got my master's from here. And then there was a position at the time with Cheryl Rude, who was running the leadership team, had an AmeriCorps position when she tried to split the team a little bit between the academic component and the team side. And so I was in AmeriCorps Vista for 2 years with the leadership team, and then went and did some other work, and then got to come back for about 8 years and be director of the leadership team, and then got to watch it go through a little bit of a different transition a few years ago. And now I'm the director of service learning and get to work a little more broadly with both leadership and discipleship, which is really fun. So yeah, it has been a long path, lots of purple in my closet. So
that's right. So, and full disclosure, everyone, I'm a leadership alum, so I come at this with some angle. I can't help myself. But Brae, would you talk a little bit about sort of the current status of the team, what they're up to, what's going on, and then maybe we'll work backwards into some of the transition and what that's looked like for our students.
Yeah, the current status of the team. There's a lot going on, as always. For both leadership and discipleship, we have a really great group of freshman students. I've been really excited. they're just ready to plug in. They came excited, they're involved. And then I think, right, like we have, both of the teams have really strong third year teams. It's really student led. And so the third year teams really plan what's happening. Before people popped on, we were just talking about leadership just did a day of service on Monday. They partnered with Winfield Commodities and helped their volunteer base load all the commodities into the different vehicles. I think they did almost 200 of those. So that was awesome. I just got an email from both teams this week talking about their upcoming Halloween parties. It's a pretty good mix for both teams of service projects happening, and then some social moments trying to bond the students to the teams. The Halloween party is always a pretty big one. And then both teams have recently announced where they're going for their service trip this year. So every year we go somewhere fun in the world, and discipleship tries to think about it in terms of a mission trip and serving in that way for their faith formation. And leadership tries to think about how they learn about different places in the world and different customs and people and even issues affecting different places. And so discipleship is going to Vermont in May, and leadership is going to Washington, and we'll spend some time in Seattle and then at one of the parks around it. So there's a lot going on. There's service projects, socials. We just got done with homecoming, and the upcoming trip. People have started making payments for their trips. I know we have 18 leadership students signed up to go to Washington right now. So that'll be a great experience. So yeah, it's like the nut bolt of what's happening right now.
Yeah. So and I guess I'm curious to know a little bit about how we're recruiting students for both leadership and discipleship and how that process is working. I know some of the, there's been a bit of a move away from, or some of the academic components have been built into maybe some of the work that you all do together. So maybe just talk a little bit more about that in some detail.
Yeah. The college, I think a priority has been to try and look at our non-athletic students and think about recruitment and how they're a great place, or Southwestern's a great place for them. Both leadership and discipleship have a really strong summer camp experience. And so we just had, leadership had 32 high school students connected with our Rotary camp on campus this summer and had a great experience. It was a great camp. And so we sent out a little email and then a little posting to all those students to say, you loved it here over the summer. You're a great leadership kid. Why don't you come visit? Why don't you come do a campus visit? Trusting kind of once we get them on campus, I think they fall in love pretty easy with it. And so lots of push on how do we bring students to campus in our programs? How do we identify these students that might be a great fit for leadership or discipleship and get them on campus? And then we've been working pretty regularly with our admissions office, trying to meet and talk about finding names of these students, doing different things like that. One of those Rotary people, he said he got the mailing and then he made a campus visit, which it pointed him to. He came to campus, met with us, and the next day he filled out his leadership application and wants to make his deposit. So I think a huge strategy is to get them, yeah, I know, on campus. And then it's fun. I met with when was it? Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday I went to Wichita. Admissions was at WSU and had a couple tables, and we had some of our fun admissions counselors there with all the high schoolers. And I know performing arts went for a couple hours, and then I went for a couple hours and just tried to chat with students and say, here we are, this is an option. I think sometimes it makes sense to them that I played soccer in high school, so I could play soccer there, but we try and just broaden that perspective that I care about these things, or I was in this club, or I want my faith to grow. And Southwestern's actually a great place because of that family feeling, that small classroom where people will build into you and have those experiences. So I just think a lot of getting our this is an option for you out into the high school students and trying to get them on campus. So
yeah, great. So, and each program has a graduate assistant.
Yes.
supporting the program, and how's that working out, and how are they doing? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things. Both of I think it'd be a really hard position to be a graduate assistant if you didn't like come through the program. But both right now are in their second year. So last year was our first year with graduate assistants. It's a 2-year program, and both of them were like 4-year on either team, discipleship and leadership. And so it's been fun to watch them. You know, I think they came into it thinking like, I love this program. I like had all these experiences. The leadership graduate assistant, before he even knew he wanted to do with that for fun, would like ask me if he could come to the first year team meeting or the second year team meeting when he was a senior. But they both last year, in kind of a cool way, I think it was more than they expected. They'd come and say like, we never doubted you were doing work, but it like looked easier than it is to meet with all these students. And so it's just been a fun learning to help them really think about like the other side of how you build into someone's experience and what that looks like for leadership or discipleship. They're both actually getting their master's in business. But I think that's the pull also of our service learning teams is like these skills, like whether it's your faith formation or your leadership development, don't have to be pigeonholed in a certain like focus in life or a certain career. Like they're really useful to you as a person. And so I think it's been fun to watch the GAs do that. And they're both hitting their stride a little bit more this year in the second year. You know, they have some cool ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's great. So, and I imagine you'll begin searching or trying to identify GAs to backfill as they graduate and move on from us. So, and it seems like to me, just observationally, seeing the teams and, you know, in the community or on campus doing things, that the GAs have been really plugged in and have been a good sort of connection point for current students in supporting them in their projects and making sure everything's moving along, because although it is student-led, there you need some motivation, I think, along the way. And so it seems to me that both Dalton Ward and Caleb Worsham have been great in that role. So
I'm on the Arts and Humanities board with Dalton Ward. He is a gem, and he's always connecting us with students, and it's such a treat. We're sad to have him leave. So if you can find a way to trap him here, that would be great.
Know. One of my favorite stories. It's been interesting because, you know, you develop these gifts working with the teams over the course of time and get like years of experience under you. And so to watch them, and they're both so great and like really invested. But I just figured out this year, I meet with them once a week and we talk about like, what do you need from me? How's the like teamwork going? And they were both kind of like office hours are sort of hard with students. Like sometimes they come on time, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're working, sometimes they're not. And so I'd given them all these like, I think more like philosophical, like here's how you like build into people things. And finally I sat them down and I said, okay, the first 20 minutes, you need to like check on the students. Like, how are they? What are they doing? Like they need a good 20 minutes of that. And then you need 10 minutes of like, I'm planning the social, but like, let me remind you why the social is important for the team. Like your job is important for the why because of this. And then the next 30 minutes can be like the practicals. Like, did you reserve the space for the Halloween party? Like, have people got the schedule? Who's volunteering on Monday at commodities or whatever it is? And they both looked at me. I think I spent like a year in all these meetings, giving them all these, like, I thought insightful tips. And they were like, that was the most helpful thing you've ever said to us. And so I was like, oh, like the actual formula, here you go. So it's been really fun in those ways to watch them. Like, yeah, they are jewels to work with. So
good. So when we kind of grazed over when we were talking about recruitment, what's the ideal cohort size for each incoming class?
Yeah,
I think that ballpark of 10.
Well, ideally, I now shoot for like actually 18 to 20 per like coming in as freshmen, but because I think ideally 10 is a great group size, but just because of like turnover or, you know, sometimes people transfer or like in these programs, there's students that sometimes graduate early And so if you want to plan long-term to have like a great group by the time they're seniors and juniors that are a strong 10, I feel like you have to like shoot to recruit more. Because it is I think both programs try and shoot for quality, and not everyone is a perfect fit for like the mix of the high structure and stuff with it. So yeah, the goal is 10 eventually, but I think we really shoot for like 15 to 18 now to come in. So
yeah. So I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to open it up for Jim and Kim to maybe if you all have some thoughts or questions you might like to engage. But I was going to ask, so what are some of the service, like the focus of service for the leadership team? And then what's sort of the theme for faith formation this year for discipleship?
Yeah, the faith formation, they're really trying, theirs is really missionally kind of focused. And so all their service, they really think about questions like, if they're doing service throughout the year, I think they ask their students to do 2 service projects. So one in the fall, one in the spring, outside of what the team is like kind of doing automatically. But they really ask questions like, okay, these are in Winfield community. And so what does Winfield community need? And if we plug in, like, is this sustainable? Like whatever service it is. So they're really thinking like in terms of like these questions about missionary service and what does it look like to help people and then to have that continue. And then they really try to think about the community piece. So like if it's Winfield community or who they partner with in, like Vermont, what does that look like to sustain? They're really concerned with sustainable kind of service work. I know for the fall, the school is doing a school-wide service project where we partner with Isle of Lights. And so that is discipleship's service project, and leadership will help with it. It's been really cool. I think this is our 14th year for the school to do a school-wide service project, and about the 5th year that we partnered with Isle of Lights. And so we're talking about with them specifically, discipleship is like, well, it's great because it's something that they really need our help with, but like it's free to everyone to go through. And so it does benefit the community. We care about the fact that it's not leaving anyone out in terms of the reward of the service. And so I think those are some of their focuses. And then leadership is really trying to think about the relationship between leaders and followers and kind of what the positive outcome is, and having the team members identify that. So like, what are your passions as a student? What do you care about? And you're in this community. And so what kinds of things could you like partner with or initiate to make happen in terms of what you care about? So it's a little different focus, but kind of the same goal of service. I know for our trip to Seattle, they were really interested because a bunch of them are these 18 to 22-year-olds, and they're going to do this service in this big city. And so they found service work that's a food bank, but it primarily works with like that young adult age. They wanted to work, like they want the service to like open their eyes to like, what are the people our age that are like experiencing this type of like hunger in the city that a lot of us have never been to. And so they got to kind of decide what they wanted the focus to be, and that's what they decided. And then they found this really cool food bank that primarily works with like the young adult age, and like what does that entail and why is that specific? And so those are some of the things they've chosen this year. And then like I said, I think they've been interested in the kind of the hunger and poverty issue, because they were really focused on, like I said, doing commodities. Last Monday was one of the other service projects they picked to do. And then of course leadership does freshman work day still. We had a successful freshman work day, and so that's always fun to keep that tradition alive. So
good. All right. Well, Jim, Kim, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but Ashley, do you have any questions you might want to, or thoughts you might want to contribute as we think about, discipleship and leadership, but certainly even the ideals of service and how that sort of fits into Southwestern College and who we are and what we do here.
I have a question, Brae, about the Vermont experience. Where is that going to be, and flesh that out a little bit. What's it gonna be?
Yes, they are still, because like they said, it's student led. So third-year team members get to trip plan. They're the people who lead it. So they pick where we're going and kind of outline the experience. And so discipleship has always partnered with like a mission organization that then kind of like says, this is what we need you to do. This is where you're staying. This is like when you get in, here's your meals. And leadership has been more to their leadership development. The student plans all that, like, where are we eating? Where are we serving? Where are we staying? Like, it's not done really for them. And so this is the first year discipleship said, maybe we could try that. Like, that seems like there's a cool experience in that. But that being said, I don't think those things are figured out yet. So they know they're going to Vermont. We have some goals they're trying to figure out, but they don't know exactly who they're partnered with yet. And they're not sure exactly where, but yeah. So
why Vermont? Why did they choose Vermont?
Yeah, there is a little bit of a rotation in terms of, we always say, if you're on the leadership or discipleship team, you'll get the chance to go international once every 4 years. And we kind of rotate. So you go Kansas or local trip experience, and then international, and then Kansas or local, and then like some sort of like urban or national setting. And so this year, the parameter was the urban or national setting. So anywhere in the US. And then, like I said, sometimes it's interesting. I don't always know the whys or the whims of what students choose, but they were really into Vermont. In fact, one of them told me, like, I picture myself like drinking my coffee and it looking beautiful. And I was like, it is not fall. You do know that, right? Like, you're going in May. But anyways, a lot of them hadn't ever been there. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the student learning experience. So they're given some freedom to make some decisions, and so I guess that was the selection. The Northeast is calling to them, but so now they have to frame out all the details of their service and what they're going to do. Is that that's great?
Yep. And like I said, I think a bunch of discipleship hadn't been to Vermont. I do think one of the things they talked about in deciding is, like, we want to go somewhere which is new for most of our team. So I know that was a contributing factor versus like Colorado or some other places, Chicago, that I think a bunch of them have been.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's where my own experience with Vermont is fun, and I just I don't think they're going to want to do what I did, but
well, I was going to say, are you volunteering if I put my student in contact with you? You can help them figure out the like.
I would be happy to talk to them. They have to go to the Vermont Country Store, and and what I did is I took a course. It was a band camp for grown-ups. It was called Jazz Vermont, and
we should get we should get some paid advertisement for that.
Golly.
Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jim. I interrupted showing my Vermont Country Store catalog. I apologize.
Yeah,
you went to a jazz camp? Did I interrupt that?
Yeah, I went to a jazz camp, and so we had 3 big bands and about 5 like smaller outfits. I played in a big band, and from that I created my own band here in Manhattan, the Thundering Cats. We have another we just had a concert at Union Hall last night, and we have another one on this Sunday. And
wow.
Have you not seen my big band? I ought to send you a thing about it, because we got created there because I can't go to Vermont every year to get my jazz kick. So
you had to bring it to you.
I started the band, and the Thundering Cats we're kicking butt. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, and also that's also where I went to King Arthur Flower. I don't know whether you're familiar with that outfit, but
Uh,
you could take. I mean, the students could go there
Yeah.
just to see how a particular mindset of baking and stuff like that. And I learned to do sourdough bread there, and it was fun. But
Yeah.
Vermont is a gorgeous place, and there should be plenty of things to do. And it's from when you're at Norwich, Vermont, where the King Arthur Flower is. You can go across the road there, if you will, and be on the campus of in New Hampshire
Hmm.
at Dartmouth is there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope they do some of that for sure. We usually try and mix. It's this idea of like service and then some like really fun restaurants or food experiences local to the place, and then some just team experiences, whether it's like going to that college or going whatever it is. They try and do a good mixture of that. So,
Well, I think it's outstanding that you were doing it. I've done this stuff my whole life. Not that particular craziness, but I'm talking about planning events, how you do this. I'm still doing it. Like I said, I'm planning an event to take about 12 people down to Elk Falls Pottery.
uh-huh.
And
nice.
but it comes naturally to me now. I've got to do this and I don't even have to write it down anymore to make it happen. But
Mm-hmm.
to be able to teach that, that's what excites me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because there are folks for whom that may not be, as the parlance goes today, in their wheelhouse, but to teach those things and to have and to be blessed with good checklists and things like that, that's marvelous. That's great.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. I mean, I think if you ask alums, always I hear the trips are some of their favorite memories. And then even like
Absolutely. Yeah.
the privilege of the students to watch them. Like oftentimes I'm watching a student experience their first flight, or like, when we went to Greece a few years ago and worked with families in refugee situations, and to just watch students be exposed to that and like have discussion and like get to be themselves, but they've built all this relational capital with these teammates and with like Cheryl Root and I who get to travel with them. It really does feel like a privilege because you're getting to learn alongside them. There's like funny moments in traveling with students, there's fun moments, and then there's like just such meaningful moments all along the way. And so it is the favorite part of my job. And I often hear alums say like that was some of their favorite memories. So
Yeah, I could verify that. I have a lot of really impactful stories about travel and work with the leadership team. I have some that are like, hilarity, but they're like some of the most memorable moments of my life, and certainly bonded me with my friends from the leadership team in ways that I'm really grateful for. So we're extremely grateful to you, Brae, for your leadership and work to keep the teams moving. Your role as the service learning, the director of service learning is so important, and the way I know you impact the lives of so many students. And so anyway, thank you for that. And any other questions from you guys? If not, I was hopeful that we'd get Jackson on here, but I think we might miss him before we wrap the call. I do want to, for those out there who are going to watch this after the fact, and for you, Jim and Kim, if you're looking for a trip to Winfield, I want to promote Ashley's going to do a pumpkin painting party on Tuesday night.
We're looking at you, Brae, with your kids.
Yeah, Brae,
Yeah.
bring all those kids. Ashley's got some pumpkins, but also if you have pumpkins, bring them along. Alex Gottlieb from Gottlieb, he's an alum. Alex and Laura have donated a few, but we're gonna have a party here in Dole. That's Tuesday night from 4 to 6. Also, I want to encourage. I'm not sure if we'll get this published in time or not, but the Fantastics is happening. I saw it last night. And it was really cool. The original cast from the 1967, 4 of the original cast members were in the audience. And so we got to do photos with the current cast and the 1967 cast. And it was a great crowd last night, and the production was awesome. So high praise to Terry McGonigal and his team. They have 2 more shows tonight at 7:30 and Saturday at 7:30. And even if we don't get this up in time, I just want to celebrate the fact that it was great musical theater here on campus. Also coming up, we have the Natural Science Hall of Fame. It's on November 9th. We have some great inductees, and there's information about them out on our website, and people can RSVP for that. What else? Looking a little bit further out into the future, we have Eager Heart. The dates for that are December 4th and 8th. And of course, Winterfest will be on December 8th. So those are a few things I just wanted to highlight as we are looking forward to the upcoming months. And we're with homecoming now behind us, we're in the in-between as we look towards Thanksgiving break. And of course, we're trying to keep students engaged and focused because we had homecoming so early this year, and Thanksgiving falls a bit later. So it's a long haul here to get them to finals week. And so a lot of good work happening on campus with students. And we really do. I mean, the students on campus right now are really fantastic. And just coming out of homecoming, it was really apparent that we've got a really great group. And we're really lucky to have them and to be able to work with them, and it's totally a privilege. So, and I know that's true for you, Brae, with leadership team and discipleship. Yeah. Of course, you've got a lot of great students around you all the time, and so it's a fun time here on campus and a lot going on. Ashley, anything to add? Anything I've forgotten?
Nope, you got it all. Got a lot of stuff coming up, and it's fun.
Yeah, well, I guess I did forget. We have a South Kansas Symphony and Acapella Choir concert on Sunday. So, Jim, we won't be able to come see the Thundering Cats, but I'll be at the symphony here on campus. But we'll be sending you all the good vibes as you.
Well, I'll send you all a link so you can see the Thundering Cats.
Yeah.
All right.
We've looked him up before. Just
we actually
talked about him.
Have you really?
Heck yeah.
Man.
We found you on YouTube.
I mean, I'm 80. Well, yeah, I'm 82 years old, still playing. So that's what can I say? Yeah. And you were talking about the trips. It was a different time, of course, but I traveled with the a cappella choir and traveled with the band, and it was a hoot. And we have that's where you have stories that never end.
On that note, Jeff, I would highlight that our music programs are traveling to Hawaii next summer. So after graduation.
Come on.
Yeah.
What?
They are.
This is not fair.
Yeah. I know, that's what I think too, but they've been doing a fair amount of fundraising work to fund their trip to get students over to Hawaii. And so Jeremy Kirk, who is our director of bands, he has a lot of connections in Hawaii, and with Polynesian drums is kind of his thing. And so he and Dr. Simon Hill, they're putting together some groups of students to go on a tour together in Hawaii, which seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Hard to beat. Yeah. So anyway, lots of exciting things that we
Hawaii beats Buckland, Kansas. Yeah.
Well, it depends. They're exotic in their own ways. How's that?
Well, and Katie, I would add too, if people are on campus between Thanksgiving and New Year's and go through Isle of Lights, like I said, that Sunday, November 10th, we shoot for like the whole student body. So 400 to 500 students, depending if a few people are out. That help partner with Winfield community and put up that mile-long lighted display. I know the community is always really thankful. And so if you go through, you can thank a little builder spirit helped put that up while you're in town over the holidays. So
good reminder, Brae. All right, on that note, I'm gonna free us back into our Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us. And we'll put some information out about the upcoming coffee chats, and hopefully you'll keep joining us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Always a competition to see who has the best mug.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Go Builders.